Yes. Hi, how are you?
Good. Yeah, it's been a long day.
A
Yep.
long day, yeah. Well, it's morning
Mm.
here, so we're just getting started.
The first thing in the morning, IG live.
First thing in the morning, IG Live pre-hur. There's like a tropical storm hurricane coming this afternoon here,
Oh,
so we'll get a little IG Live in action before that happens. Before my
mm.
internet like goes down or something.
Oh no, but it's safe, right?
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. I ain't
Mm.
going anywhere. I'm not going anywhere today, so I'll be
Okay.
inside all day. Yeah.
Sweet.
It's all good. How's things with you? Good?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, have been doing the coaching. Like, yeah, same thing.
Yeah. Busy,
Mm-hmm.
busy, right?
And right, and stepping outside our comfort zone.
Yes, yes, and that is the topic for today. I don't know if anybody has joined yet. If you want to give them a couple minutes here.
Mm. I think Vivi should be joining, if I'm not
Yeah,
wrong.
I saw her give us the thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
So, comfort zone, yes. This is a good topic.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. I feel like a lot of people are being forced out of their comfort zone right now with pandemics and all this kind of thing. So,
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, even like me, I have been being pushed out of my comfort zone again and again
hmm
especially these past few months. Right.
hmm
So it has been, I would say challenging, but I like the challenge.
Yeah, I
Yep.
mean, you get more and more used to it, I think, right?
Mm-hmm.
A little
Right.
bit. At first it's very scary, but then once you keep doing it and you keep realizing that it's not like there's good things on the other side of it, then you're like, okay, not so bad. I mean, it's still scary because that's like ingrained in you,
Mm-hmm.
but it's yeah, you get more and more used to it, I think. So, but that's definitely one of my goals right now is, well, as you know, go outside the comfort zone a little bit more. So step up my game a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and see
In
how
terms
I
of
can
this
do that.
online business.
Yeah, well, that in itself is outside the comfort zone, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah,
That's
that in
true.
itself is putting yourself out there to like a lot of people. So you're
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable to it.
Right. Yep. So I think, yeah, I kind of enjoy it right now. I even like
hmm
this life, right? Like all this IG life. It is
hmm
scary. Still
Yeah.
scary to me for some reason. I
Yeah.
don't know why.
They're getting better, but I remember the very first one I did, I was so nervous before. I was like really, and I still get nervous just because that's just like ingrained in me, but there's when you think about it, it's not that bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's your friends watching, and it's a good way to kind of get over, especially if you're public speaking. It's a good thing. It's a
Oh,
good way
that.
to
Mm-hmm.
kind of ease your way into that because it's live.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Yes.
so the interesting thing is, I love public speaking. I like to
Do
speak
you?
live,
hmm
right? But I think I'm a lot more nervous on live than when I'm
On
speaking in person. For
like
some reason, I don't
on the
know why.
camera.
Uh-huh. Oh,
See,
I think.
I'm the opposite. It's so funny because people are either it seems like people are either one or the other. So like for me, I'm fine behind the camera. I mean, live I get a little bit nervous, but behind the camera I'm good. But if there's like a room full of people in front of me, I get all the physiological symptoms and heart racing and like palm sweating and feel like I'm gonna pass out and all that good stuff. So
Mhm.
it's pretty funny.
Yeah, I guess it is where the fear stems from. I think why I'm fearful in front of the camera is because when because yeah, you're recording it and people will see again and again and you
hmm
never know what people will pay their attention to. But if it's live,
True.
it's just gone for me lah. Yep. So
True.
that's where my fear stems from.
But the way I
Mhm.
see it, you can always edit it too. Like if you're live in front of people, you can't really edit it. It's
That's
like you're just
true.
showing all. So if you make a mistake, or something in your mind that you feel like is a mistake, then it's out there. You can't just like go to your editing program and we'll just delete that part of the video and. So
Hmm.
it's pretty
Right.
funny if you think about it.
I mean, which is true. Yeah, especially if you get a panic attack or something in front live.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
it's funny. Anything like speeches I've given live, like I always do well. They come out fine. So I think on the surface I appear calm and collected, but internally I'm secretly dying inside,
Right.
which is really hilarious because it's come on, it's stupid to think about that, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen,
Mm-hmm.
it's the fear of forgetting what you're going to say. It's the fear of people judging you and all that kind of thing. So I think that goes back to a very young age, to when
Mm-hmm.
we're children and something happened. I mean, you know this, just looking into like subconscious mind and, childhood, you have a particular instance and it sticks with you. And then you're always kind of repeating that same story in your
Mm-hmm.
head, or you see that same, you almost have the same experience, right? As you
Mm-hmm.
kind of are faced with similar things.
Right. I mean, even like say on a conscious level, it doesn't make sense. I mean, it doesn't
Right.
make sense. You have done this so many times. It should get
Hmm.
better. I mean, at
Yeah.
least for me in this life,
Yeah.
I've done it quite a number of times. In fact, I challenged myself to do solo IG live, and I think I did 4 times already. But every
Nice.
time I do it, there is just this sense of there's just this nervousness beneath
Yeah.
it, which I haven't really go and explore it yet, like as in where this nervousness comes from. But
Hmm.
it definitely is very ingrained, like deeply within me somehow. So that's why it still stays despite me trying to reason things out. So I guess yeah, I need to do a lot of inner work with regards to that to
Hmm.
really find out that root reason and to yeah eradicate it altogether.
Yeah. So how the solo lives versus doing a live with a person, how different is it for you? Like how much more intense is it? Because I know for me that's going to be my next step. It's just thinking of like what topic I want to talk on, something like that. So
Right.
how is it different, like intensity wise? How much more of a, I guess, nerve-wracking experience for going outside the comfort zone was it for you?
I guess Hmm, that's a
Knowing
good
that you don't
question.
have like that other person to fall back on, right?
All right. Yeah, I think it's rather similar,
Yeah.
but in terms of solo wise, yeah, I will be kind of scared of silence.
Hi, Vivi.
Hello, Vivi. Finally, someone joined.
It's okay. Vivi, you're missing our whole conversation here. Come on now. We were just talking about you, and it was, yeah, it was really
Yeah, she'll watch the replay.
stuff you really wanted to hear. So,
Right. So, as I was saying, solo life, I would be quite scared of the silence because
yeah,
there isn't anyone to help you fill the gap.
the
So
awkward
when
silence.
you're
Yep.
yeah, exactly, when you're
Mhm.
silent, what will people on the other side think,
Mhm.
and what are they doing? Will they leave? That kind of thing.
Yeah. Right.
So that stress, that pressure to fill that gap of silence will cause me to continue to talk at a very fast pace. Even right now, I'm quite fast. Yep, I need to slow down a little bit. Yep. So that sense of nervousness. I mean, I feel nervous, but people don't see it somehow.
Right.
I don't know why. Yeah, maybe yeah, I don't know why.
We're similar. We're
Maybe I have
similar
this
in that way. Yeah. We
right.
have the
I
nice,
have that
like, calm aura
calm
about us.
aura.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, if you can see my aura, you can see my color is actually green. Okay, never
Mm,
mind. Yep, so that's what
nice.
I observe when I see my video. So I have that
Hi, Karen.
calm, healing aura. Hey, hi.
Hmm.
Well, nice. 2-person join. 3-person.
Yeah. A big audience. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
Guys, we're
Right.
talking about the comfort zone. Oh, Roy. Hi, Roy. And we were just talking about, first of all, IG Lives. And I asked Eleanor a question. I asked her, what was the difference between, like, how did she feel difference between doing IG Lives with somebody else and moving to a solo IG Live, which can be a lot more nerve-wracking for people who don't love being in front of the camera or are afraid of public speaking. So I just asked her how much more intense was it in her experience with it
Mm-hmm.
internally.
But also, if I'm doing live with another person, there is another kind of pressure involved which
Hmm.
is, you may not be very familiar with that person. So how are you going to go on that conversation smoothly? That's
Right.
one thing that will be on my mind at the unconscious level, probably, maybe it's at some conscious level as well. And also, what if you said something that the person don't resonate with, and what will happen? And then
Right.
what would the audience think of you? Yeah, that kind of thing. A lot of
Right.
things. It may not be very logical, but that fear is still there for some
Right.
reason.
Right.
Yeah,
Or somebody asks
so
you a
that's my fear.
question and you don't really know how to answer it or something like that. So yeah, I mean, there's a million different thoughts that go through our head, when it comes to going outside the comfort zone, and it's always our own, always something that stems back from childhood, probably, right? Some experience
Mhm.
we've had, and we tie it to, we're experiencing something similar right now, and our brain just goes back to that one time we felt embarrassed in second grade, or we were giving a speech and we had a total mental shutdown and totally lost our train of thought. So now we think we're going to repeat that over and over again. So we're always thinking that we're going to fail in a sense, right?
Mhm. Right.
So it's like we're just, I don't know, our brain is just it just has that ingrained in us to always think of failure rather than success. So how do you
Mhm.
shift from a place of success? Is it a matter of just going outside the comfort zone more and getting used to it? What do you think?
Mm. Yeah, that's a good question. So for me, why?
Vivi, solo IG.
Yeah, I was laughing at that comment. Mm.
Vivi says solo
Um.
IG plus technology issues equals disaster. Yeah, there's the technology part of it too.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, guys, solo
Um.
is going to be my next going outside my comfort zone. It's just a matter of thinking of something to talk about, so I just don't go on the air with like awkward silence, which we were just talking about.
Right. Yep. So yeah, I would say I will feel the fear and do it anyway. That's one way to, but eventually, hopefully, re-educate my unconscious that it is okay, that
Hmm.
even if there's fear, I can still do it. And over that repetition, a lot of it will help me to really be a lot more at ease when I'm doing this thing because I'm already familiar with it. There's one For one, we are scared because we are not familiar with it, and then the brain go
Right,
into that, the fight or flight mode. So
right.
once we get familiar with it, the brain will be a lot more calm. That's one
Hmm.
thing. But of course, like if there is some ingrained fear, some conditioning, some limiting belief within that stems from maybe childhood, then if we just feel the fear and do it anyway, yes, we can get there eventually, but it will be a lot more forceful, a lot more
Yeah,
difficult than if you just go to the root of the issue. Why are you fearful? And then to work on that, remove that limiting belief. And then you
yeah,
add on the new programming and then
yeah.
just go for it. It will work a lot better. That's my thoughts on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point you brought up because like you said, you can force it, but it's like, right, you're not getting to the root issue, like why do you actually feel that way? Why are you so fearful? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
everybody may have a little bit of fear, but why, somebody who really, really has like a chronic kind of fear or something that's really deeply ingrained, you're right, getting to the root of that and solving that first is going to make it easier rather than just kind of struggling your way through, right? And
Mm-hmm.
wetting your pants every time you're,
Mm-hmm.
pressing the button or something. But Roy said something good. He said, let's see, face the fear, shift your focus on what you can do right rather than what can go wrong. Yeah, I mean, we have the fear of making a wrong decision or a wrong move, right? But you have to understand that there is no wrong decision, right? Let's get my quotes in here. No wrong decision. It's all a learning experience. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's all our perception of it and how our mind is actually viewing a situation, right? I mean, if we
Mm-hmm.
think that everything is a wrong choice or a wrong decision, then that's just the filter we have on, rather than somebody
Mm-hmm.
who views it as a learning experience.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Right.
and yeah, it'd be really hard to do when your camera is upside down. Yeah, it's really hard to do a live when your camera's facing the wrong way. It's like facing your plants and
That's what happened with Vivi
yeah.
the first time.
Or if it,
Yeah.
well, you can make it interesting and be like sideways. That's cool.
You can get the audience to turn their camera sideways, their
Yeah.
head sideways.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So
that's
what have
that's
been
for me.
Eleanor, what have been the benefits for you going outside the comfort zone? Have you seen like massive results every time you do this? I know I have from experience, and it's kind of like you know it, yet you're still scared to do it. You know that on the other side of that comfort zone is something great, or it's like a big shifter usually, right?
Right. I mean, in terms of results, right, wise, if you are talking about those business wise, so far not yet. But
Hmm.
I guess I gain more exposure. But in terms of other areas, I feel I made an impact somehow. So I have people coming to tell me that because of my IG live, they benefited. And, I had this, not sure whether you will be here. Okay, never mind. I can't share that. But yeah, I have people coming to me to tell me about my IG live having an impact for them in their life, which in a sense is what I am doing all this essentially. Yeah, what it is where all this stems from. So even if I don't see a result in terms of business wise itself, like followers and all that,
Hmm.
I guess as long as I continue to put myself out there and deliver the impact that I am meant to deliver, yeah, everything will come sooner or later for me. Right. So
Yeah.
in terms of result, yes, I definitely see that in terms of that.
Yeah, and it has to come from your heart, but it's also I think every time you do it, you discover a little more about yourself too,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's
Right.
kind of opens you up a little bit, or if you've been closing that heart chakra off, it
Mm-hmm.
opens that up, it opens the throat chakra up, so it is, I know for me, it's definitely been a part of just self-growth, And like you said, whether or not you see results right away, I mean, results will come. You will see, people will resonate with you the more you put yourself out
Mm-hmm.
there. But just the impact it has on just inner healing is massive, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I totally agree because if you know me before like a few months back, I'm very different. I'm a very different Eleanor. Right
Hmm.
today, yeah, I don't know whether you've
How are
noticed
you
it.
different? Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit? Like how do you feel like you've
Mhm.
shifted
Right. I think in
over the
terms
past
of
few months?
that inner space, that freedom,
Yeah.
which translate into how people see me, how I behave. How do I put it? Um, I'm more vocal.
Hmm.
So I share, I'm more authentic. I am less fearful of sharing my point of view compared to in the past whereby I will be very scared if I say something wrong or something that I feel my
I think you're
audience
right.
don't resonate with, then my career will be destroyed or that kind of thing that I will get a lot of judgments because of
Yeah.
that. So that liberation, I would say that liberation that comes with that is the best thing ever that have happened to me because I come off like step off my comfort zone, right? That
Yeah.
spiritual and personal growth.
I can totally resonate with that too, because it's even something for me like posting, because I do the daily videos, but something for me, I use Facebook more for like personal rather than business. Like Instagram, I'll use it more for business, but I have a lot of friends or a lot of people from like high school and even grade school on like my Facebook social media. So just for me to do something small like posting my YouTube videos on there was way outside my comfort zone because I had a fear of what are they going to think? They're going to judge me, right? Because when they knew me back then, maybe I was quite different, right? I was more reserved, I
Right.
was more shy, and now they're seeing me doing videos, and whether or not they watch them, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. Just the fact of putting yourself out there when you feel very uncomfortable and vulnerable about doing it, even something very small like that could be a game changer because now I find myself more comfortable doing it. And it's like, I don't care. I'm just going to, post stuff and not care what people think as much. So
Mm-hmm.
it's taking that sometimes a small leap. So going outside the comfort zone and taking these leaps doesn't have to be like a huge, huge thing. It could be something very, very small. Something very small that has a massive effect in your life because what it does, it starts building that momentum, right? It starts getting the ball rolling in the right direction and opening up more
Mm-hmm.
doors and possibilities. Because if you
Right.
think about it, all possibilities exist, right? Anything you want exists. It's just you're not aligned with it. And if you always do the same things every day, you stay in the same, you go to the same places, you do the same exact, be around the same exact people, and you never change anything up, then nothing outside of you is going to change. I mean, we've all heard this,
Mm-hmm.
So when you do anything in a different direction, then suddenly you see doors and opportunities and things open up a little for you. And suddenly
Mm-hmm.
you're getting a little closer to some of those other possibilities for yourself, which is
Mm-hmm.
pretty cool.
Right. So I mean,
That's
I
right,
can feel like
right. Let them
we have
watch and judge from the sidelines. Absolutely.
we have very similar backgrounds in the sense that I also have that same fear of putting
Hmm.
myself in on my Facebook page,
Right.
my own Facebook account, because those are my friends, and I am
More
very
personal.
quiet and very shy and very introverted in the past. So it's
Hmm.
a huge jump, and because I
Yeah.
isolated from them for a very long time, so when I come out, like do all these videos, it's very different from their previous perception of me. So there's
Right.
this fear that they may, just the fear of abandonment, fear of being isolated by
Hmm.
them because I don't fit into their perception of me. That kind of thing was going on. And yeah, but then, that fear of when you don't step out, that was the thought that went on, especially late last year. I had two choices. So if the two choices are, first, I continue to not step out of my comfort zone and continue to feel that fear and that stuck feeling, or I step out of my comfort zone and face that initial fear, and then
Right.
it will be transmuted, so I won't feel that kind of fear anymore. So
Hmm.
that between those two fears, I kind of reasoned out, okay, I mean, stepping forward and facing that initial fear is a lot better than continuously facing that same fear throughout my whole life, which
Right.
is very stifling. Mm-hmm.
Right. Or regret, right? So if you
Mm-hmm.
don't step outside the comfort zone, if you don't post on your Facebook or you don't, take that small little leap, then that's going to always kind of sit with you, right? It's always going to be on the back of your mind, and you're always going to be like, man, you're going to feel bad about yourself because you didn't have the courage to do it, or you didn't just go for it. And that
Mm-hmm.
happens a lot, where it's like, we feel like we let ourselves down in a sense for not going outside the comfort zone because we feel like, oh man, I was too chicken shit to do whatever it is. So it's there's that aspect of it too. So it's either what's worse, feeling that sense of regret or feeling that, I don't know, like that horrible feeling about yourself and how you're just, you don't have courage, or you keep doing the same things and you can't break out of it, or facing that initial fear, feeling a little uncomfortable, and going for it and realizing that it wasn't that bad in the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Right. So make your choice. And so
Right,
I made
right.
my choice.
Make your choice.
So
Choose
it's a
wisely.
very very simple choice. There's only two choice. So yeah, just think through which one makes more sense for you. Which fear
Absolutely.
can you endure and push through? Yep. So that is where I come from, which is very similar to you. And right now, I think, yeah, recently I just did something bold. So I've been continuously stepping out of my comfort zone, taking mini steps at a time. Because, before I even do YouTube and this Instagram, right, I was very scared. Just, I think 2017, just the thought of YouTube really caused that heart palpitation. So I didn't start with YouTube. That was when I decided, okay, YouTube is a no way for me. I'm never ever going to do this in my life.
Mm,
And then what happened was, I started to take simple mini steps that is not YouTube, because I filmed my first online course. I think back then in 2017 or 18, and then I put it up online, and that is when I become more I feel more comfortable speaking in front of the camera because of that drill and putting myself out there. So my first course, right, is a free course on Udemy, and it had, I think, over 800 plus people enrolling
mm,
within a few days. So it's like, oh no, it was so scary, that was my first time. But that was a mini step, and it got so scary to the point because I'm not used to that, that I took that course off. I unpublished it, but the 800 people are already in that course.
Wow.
So this kind of opened up the door for me a little
Yeah.
bit because I've done it. And so next one would be what I did was Instagram, because Instagram is not as scary as YouTube, in my opinion. So I
Really?
started Instagram because I wasn't doing live. I wasn't doing Instagram live or
Yeah.
video then. I was just posting pictures, so it was okay for me. So I just started to post pictures, and it seems okay. And I started to have that interaction with public a little bit. And because of that, I was able to take courage to start YouTube. So it
Hmm.
happened bit by bit. It didn't
Yeah.
happen like overnight. So if you want to talk about stepping out of your comfort zone, yes, you can take a big leap, but you can also do it step by step at your own pace. Yeah, there's no
Right.
obligation to just.
Right.
But you can change your identity overnight. I mean, if
Right,
you choose
right. You
to.
can.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's different, and you have to, right, you go at your own pace and see what works for you. Because if it's at the point where it's so overwhelming, where it's just going to stress you out to no end, if you don't do it, then, maybe start small, do one thing outside your comfort zone every day, one little small thing. It doesn't matter what it is. Just get
Mm-hmm.
yourself used to doing that. And I know we were taught before a lot of people, all these people joined. um, I was talking about, guys, how with coronavirus right now, COVID pandemic, people are almost being forced outside their comfort zone because there's a lot of people who, like job wise and, even personal wise, not being able to go where they want to go. And people are feeling very uncomfortable about it. So I thought that was just an interesting observation, how, kind of seeing how people are going to handle almost being forced outside the comfort zone, because you basically have choices. You can either face the fear, you can get creative and have it work for you, or you could really try to force it and try to maintain that comfort level in a way. But I don't know, it's almost not possible for some people, I feel like. So it's just an interesting time where a lot of us are being forced or kind of nudged or pushed, uh, not by our own choice necessarily, to go
Mm-hmm.
outside the comfort zone. So, some people are going to thrive and they're going to embrace the opportunity and take it and run with it, and other ones are going to just live in that place of fear, I think,
Mm-hmm.
which
Right.
is what you see happening. Yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
Karen said, yep, we can't really build our plans. No, for our struggle, I used to hide, but we have messages to share. Yeah, that's true. If you think about it, whenever I think some of the keys to success with going outside the comfort zone is remembering to stay present with yourself, stay grounded, and don't let your brain just take off on you. It's about being
Mm-hmm.
present and tapping into your why and your heart. So remaining in your heart center is important, and I think that helps too, because suddenly you're not just coming from a place of overthinking everything and
Mm-hmm.
about how you're going to be judged and criticized, and you know your brain doesn't take you back to that time in second grade where you're giving a speech and you forgot what you were going to say. No, when you focus more on coming from your heart and your why and how you can help other people, or how you have a message to bring out to other people, then I think that takes the edge off of going outside the comfort zone a little bit too. So that can be
Mm-hmm.
helpful if you just kind of shift yourself into that
Yeah.
mentality and ground yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, I mean, it is quite natural for people to think more negative because
Hmm.
because of the negativity bias. I can't pronounce things properly, but never mind. Yeah, this is me. This is authentically me. So yeah, because of the negativity bias, that's why people tend to see more negative than positive things. So you're right. So we have to retrain our mind to see the positive instead. So it requires some time, definitely, because we are so negative, and it is because we need to be negative in the past, in ancient times, so that we can protect ourselves. Because we
Mm,
need to remember that this this thing, this a tiger or yeah, those creatures coming after us, they are not good for us, and we need to remember such negative events so that whenever that happens again, we can just run away straight away rather than think about it. So that's why our brain tends to remember negative things more than the positive ones. And one trick to help us to really rewire our brain for positive thinking is whenever there is positive emotions coming through, or whether we can see certain positive perspective, we stay there longer. We tend to not stay there very long. We tend to dismiss them.
Right.
But because the amount, the amygdala, the portion of it that is used to process the positive stuff is, I think, I don't know the proportion, but it's a lot lesser than the proportion used to process negative events in our life. So that is why when positive things happen and you want to rewire your brain to that positive part, you need to stay in the positive for longer periods than the negative stuff.
Hmm.
Yep. So use that,
That's
and
interesting.
slowly, bit by
Yeah.
bit, you will be able to rewire your brain to see more positive rather than negative. So yeah, most people, in fact, they are very negative, and yeah, it's because we are wired for that. But
So
it's
it's
not that
not
we are doomed.
so
We
it's
can
not
change it.
just society growing up having influence. It's that we're actually wired from a very long time, like you said, to
Hmm.
protect ourselves from being eaten by a wild animal or something like that. That's
Hmm.
interesting. Yeah,
Right.
that makes
But
a
the
lot of
thing is,
sense. Yeah.
the influence part is true, and it's because the society, all of us are negative. So that's why we will
Why is that?
continue to be in
Why
this
do you
cycle.
think society is so negative? It's just because we're wired that way, and it's just. Or I
I
know
would
we live in
say
a
mainly.
fear-based society, so it's
I think there are other reasons as well, but yeah, one of the main thing that pop up to me because I am aware of that is that negativity bias, and it doesn't make sense for us to have this negativity bias in the society today because there isn't so much of such physical threats in our
right.
environment. Like most countries, we are it's quite safe. So
It's more
but the thing is,
it's emotional threats now, right? You would say.
mhm, right. So but it has only been so many years. Our brain needs some time to evolve, but it can
That's
happen,
true. Yeah.
right? So as long
Yeah.
as we train ourselves, hopefully someday, yeah, I guess during our times in this honor, we will start to see a lot of people shifting
Hmm.
more towards positive because we are all doing the work. So have
Yeah.
faith. Yeah, it will happen.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're starting to see that now.
Mhm.
You're seeing kind of the two extremes right now. You're seeing people who are kind of going deeper and deeper and deeper into that negative state, but then you're seeing people pulling out of it, right? You're seeing people
Mhm.
shifting. So I think it's very it's kind of very divided right now. I see the division, pretty clearly, whereas years ago it wasn't as apparent. It was more like jumbled together. But
Mhm.
now you can definitely notice the difference between people who are really trying to live in that higher vibrational state and the ones that are really living in fear and just these very low vibrational states. Yeah,
Right. Yep. So yeah, we can all
cool. Do you
see
guys have
the
any
positive side.
experiences or questions with comfort zone stuff? I know everybody has been there at one time or another in their life. And Eleanor she's a hypnotherapist. So anything you wanted to mention about that as far as anybody who is, trying to shift themselves? I know you talked about getting to the, like the root of the problem, the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. I know hypnosis could be a great modality to do that,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm. Right, because all the limiting beliefs are stored in our unconscious,
Right,
and if you want to get rid of that, the easiest route is to contact the unconscious and
right,
communicate with it and be reprogram it, re-educate our unconscious. So going back to that, like the childhood event when we experienced that, when we took on that limiting belief, and then make a choice to re-educate that child who took on that limiting belief and let that belief go, rewire in a new belief, and growing up with that new belief will help you a lot to see things from a different perspective. Yep.
yeah.
So that is the fastest, the easiest route. would
Yeah,
say.
because
Of
our
course, there are a lot of
unconscious,
other modalities. Mhm.
yeah, our unconscious mind is constantly being bombarded and taking things in, and we don't realize it, right? So it's a matter of exploring it and getting to that whatever that event was that happened or that thing that happened, because we're bombarded, and but we don't necessarily, we're not conscious that we are filling our storage unit in our brain with all this negative information, right?
Mhm. Right.
Yeah, cool. Any questions, guys? Anything else you wanted to mention?
Are you still there?
I'm still here. Yeah. This is that awkward silence. We'll just go with it.
Exactly.
We could talk about how people are scared of silence. I've talked about that before, right?
Mm.
That's another thing we have going on. It's people are scared of something like awkward silence because it goes back internally, right? We
Emotions.
feel
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
emotions.
Right.
So embrace the silence. Silence is not a bad thing.
Vivi wants to end this. You cover everything.
What's that?
Vivi said you cover everything. She wants to end this.
Oh, okay, she wants to end.
Just kidding. Okay, that's
No,
good.
is there any other questions, comments, anything else, Eleanor, that you wanted to bring up, or
Let
and they
me
speak
see.
nonstop? Yeah, there's people who speak nonstop. It's just like,
Hmm. Yeah, I tend to have that tendency also. In the past, I tend to speak non-stop, filling up all the gaps because yeah, that awkward is very awkward.
yeah,
I mean,
you,
even right now, sometimes I mean, I still try to fill up gaps. So that
yeah,
is something I certainly need to work on myself as well.
I do that as well. I do that as well. It's yeah, it's that fear of, uh, I don't know, because we're trained and we think that silence is a bad thing, like I said. So it's really not if you think about it. It's really
Mhm.
not. It's really silly if you think about it.
Mhm.
Right? So you always feel like you need to fill in the gaps and not just so nice. Anything else, guys, before we go? What could you do if you lived a life with no fear? Oh man.
Is that
You know,
possible?
yeah, Roy asked, what could you
Oh,
do
but
if
it
you
has a
lived a
perspective.
life
Hmm.
with no fear? I mean, that is a question everybody should ask themselves, I think, at one time or
Hmm.
another, because that can get you to your life purpose, for one, what you're meant to do, what you really want to do. If you had no objection, die. Phoebe says die. You would
Oh.
be unstoppable. Yeah. Yeah. What would you
Hmm.
do with your life if you had no obstacles, no fear? Because really, when it comes down to it, any obstacle you're going through it all comes back to fear-based, right?
Hmm.
Like anything, if you think
Right.
about it.
Also, I
So,
realized something that kept coming up recently for me when I work with my clients. So this one belief is seems to be what is causing a whole range of other problems and people taking up other beliefs, and that is the idea that I'm not enough. So because they don't feel that innate worthiness, so that's why yeah, their life don't turn out very well in a lot of areas. All the fears comes in because they don't feel worthy in the first place. So in
mhm.
that sense, if we can work on our innate worthiness and really bring that forth, then um, most likely we will be quite fearless. That is what I truly believe in. So that's why right now I keep working on my um, self connection, my self love to
Yeah.
bring forth that innate worthiness, meditate more, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Do the inner child work, right? Tapping into that part of yourself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Self-acceptance, self-love. I mean, so important because you it's hard to give to other people, and it's hard to really do a lot in your life and expend any type of energy outward, loving energy outward, if you don't love yourself first, if you don't accept yourself first. You
Hmm.
can pretend, you can fake it for a while, but eventually it's going to come back to you. And and you're always going to be hit with that feeling inside that you're not worthy or that you can't achieve certain things in your life or actually reach
Mm-hmm.
your highest potentials in life. So it's so important to do that work. Yeah, I agree.
Mm-hmm. So today
Definitely.
I've stepped out of the comfort zone and do quite a lot. First, I went for a podcast, my first ever podcast with
Yeah, what
someone
kind of
I don't
class?
really know. Pod, shit, I can't pronounce properly. Podcast.
Pot class?
Pod, podcast. Podcast, right?
Oh, podcast.
Pod,
Okay, I
I'm
get
so
it.
sorry.
Sorry. I thought you were saying like a pot class. I was like, she took pottery. Podcast. Oh,
Sorry,
so
podcast.
you went on a podcast as a guest?
Yep. So
Oh,
my
awesome.
first ever podcast. Plus, I don't know that person that well, and um, yeah, and we were initially supposed to do a webinar before, but then
Yeah,
it didn't happen. And then right now the podcast. So I just trust and allow, and I went forward with it,
yeah.
and yeah, it turned out quite well because I
Oh,
allow and because
awesome.
I trust. I trust the process. So one thing is to trust the process. And I mean, honestly speaking, this is my first time doing IG Live with you as well. So there
Yeah.
is some level
So
of
this is going,
nervousness.
we're going outside our comfort zone now too.
Exactly. Yeah.
I
So
had a
did you feel
hypnosis
nervous?
session with Eleanor, which was awesome, by the way. But this is
Uh,
different because yeah, we're in front of live in front of
mhm.
people. So
Right. So do you feel nervous when you're doing this IG Live with me?
I'm not too bad today. I'm not too bad.
Okay,
There's
that's
a little
good.
like the awkward silence where I'm like, oh, we got to fill it up. We got to fill it up.
Uh-huh.
We got to say something. Let me talk about the weather. Talk about this
Right.
hurricane coming here. But yeah, no. I think it's much easier. It's much more of a comfortable process when it's with people you know. So like you said, you did a podcast with somebody you didn't know that well, and that was a little more frightening, right?
Oh, but in fact, not so. So I was quite
But it wasn't.
surprised. Because
Yeah.
I think I didn't thought I would resonate with her that well because we didn't really speak prior. We didn't really talk prior to that. I mean, we
Oh, okay.
texted. So that was the first time we really communicated with our voice. And wow, I was quite surprised that we can resonate that well. Yeah, so it went very well, I would say. And I'm
Nice.
quite glad
Nice.
I allowed that to happen. Yep.
Yeah.
So when you trust and take that step out of your comfort zone, things can happen quite well
Yeah.
if that thing is what you really felt intuitively called to do, then
Right.
trust and allow, and it will turn out well for you most of the time.
Exactly. And the other thing I want
Mm.
to bring up, a lot of times, even when you're doing like a live or you're doing a podcast or whatever it is with somebody else, the whole time you might be really nervous and you might be in your head about it. And you keep replaying the story. Oh, I'm doing so terrible. Like I sound like an idiot and blah, blah, blah. And then you watch it back and you're like, oh, no, that was pretty good. Did you
Mhm.
ever like have that happen to you? I know I've had that so many times where I'm like, oh, that really wasn't that good, and you're just like down about it. And then you watch it back and you're like, oh, actually, not
Mhm.
not that bad. So it's like our perception of ourself in the moment and what we are actually projecting out can be quite different, many
Mhm.
times. So
I
that's
I
just
totally
interesting.
agree.
Yeah,
Like my
yeah.
past solo IG live, I think the my third one I think it was really quite bad, but the fourth one I thought it was bad. I thought I was very nervous, which I was. But then
Yeah,
later on when I revisit it, when I watched it again, I was quite surprised of what came out. Yeah, because
yeah.
I seemed to be channeling information, and I was
Hmm.
wow, I was really enjoying my own IG life. Yeah, so yeah,
Yeah.
that can
You're like,
happen.
damn,
Yeah,
I'm
that can
good.
definitely.
Yeah, yeah.
And I have to acknowledge that. I mean, it's not me. I know it's a channeling information through me.
Right.
Yep. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm glad that happened.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it's also it brings out your authenticity, and you see that resonates with people, right? And just being purely uncomfortable or awkward, whatever it is, somebody's going to resonate with that rather than you being very like uptight and scripted and all that kind of thing. So that's
Mhm.
important.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the few audience are quite enjoying themselves right then.
Yeah. Got our little crew here. Roy says we can do some emotional freedom technique in the moment of silence with Vivi. Maybe he's just laughing,
Definitely.
you
Come,
know.
come, let's do it. Why not?
Might as well have fun, you know. Might as well have fun, right?
Mhm.
Anything else, guys? Any other comments, questions, jokes, hearts? We'll take some hearts. Anything else, Eleanor, that you wanted to bring up, or I think we covered. You know, we covered a lot.
Mhm.
I think it's a good topic that a lot of people can resonate with because, especially now, anybody in especially the online world or you know our little soul tribe doing YouTube videos and Instagram posts and things like that is very it can be a very scary, vulnerable experience putting yourself out there, you know, and even
Mhm.
if it's one or two people watching, you're still putting yourself out there, somebody is still seeing it, you still have the thought like, oh crap, I'm going to be judged or, you know, criticized and whatever. All the insecurities start bubbling up again. And it's learning that that is just part of the process. You know, it's doesn't make you a weirdo. It doesn't make you, you know, odd. It's just normal human feeling coming up, you know? So,
Mhm.
you know, embrace it instead of pushing it away and resisting it all the time. So,
Mhm. Right.
and hit the
Very
mitts.
well said.
I just joined, but we're actually wrapping
Mhm.
it up, unfortunately. But you can catch this. I'll replay it on my my live. I'll repost it.
Mhm. Right.
Cool. So we're all good? All good for
Mhm.
today on this Tuesday? All right. Well, thank you, Eleanor, for joining me. This was a lot of fun. Thank you, everybody who
Right.
joined. We
Thank
love
you
you,
so much for
appreciate
joining.
you guys.
Mhm.
And this will be up on my IGTV. I'll post it on YouTube as well, probably tomorrow. And other than that, we'll talk to you guys soon. Sound
Mhm.
good?
Yep. Thanks for inviting, and
All right.
thank
You
you all
too.
for attending. Bye bye.
Yes.
Take care.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Love you all.